Thank you. Right.
Ms. Case, if I could just, for the members of the public that are joining this evening for the May 26th board meeting, on your screen, you'll see that there's two screens that are grayed out. Joining us to make sure that the meeting goes well is our assistant business administrator, assistant to the business administrator, and then our director of communications, both Bonnie Cheney and Kia Bergman. So while they're not present on the screen, they're here to make sure the meeting runs smoothly. So before we get started, I just wanted to make sure the public knew who those two boxes were, because our names do not appear on the video recording.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Adderholt. Prior to us logging into this meeting, the board met virtually for closed session, and so our meeting was called to order. So we can begin tonight with some comments from the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Case. Good evening to the members of the community that are joining us this evening, as well as that will be viewing this board meeting. Thank you for taking the time out of your evenings to be with us. Wanted to just give a couple quick updates with respect to the sort of the state of the state, so to speak. Today, our governor made an announcement via tweet regarding graduation. Please know that we're mindful that there is such a tweet exists, but there is no guidance that's currently been issued by the governor, by the state police, or by the commissioner of education regarding what the parameters surrounding such a statement will be and what they'll be allowed. What the governor's tweet said that in-person graduations will be allowed after July, or starting July 6th. Following social distancing requirements. Current social distancing requirements for outside gatherings are limited to 25, if I remember correctly. So we're not sure if those guidelines and parameters will change, and clearly that is not does not meet the standard of a graduation ceremony for classes of over 400. So we have set forward a plan with respect to a virtual graduation ceremony based on the May 8th guidance that was issued by the Department of Education, the same very guidance that suggested that how we celebrate is using avatars for our ceremonies, or looking for celebrities to join us. We've looked for avatars and celebrities and have had no success. What we've done is we've worked with our PTSAs, we've worked with our student leaders, we've worked with our administration, we've developed a multitude of plans based on multiple options. Our seniors deserve to be recognized, and they deserve to be honored on their graduation date of June 19th. We will follow through with our virtual graduation ceremonies and commencements on schedule for that day, including working on filming this week. We will proceed as guidance continues to shift. We will also be very mindful of the guidance that comes out tomorrow to see if there are things that we can do to continue to celebrate our seniors at a future date. In both Mr. Leppel and Dr. Dauber's communications that went to the community, went to the seniors back 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we did acknowledge a date of August 8th for potential in-person gathering. What that gathering would be, how big that gathering could be, what we're allowed to do was all going to be based on further guidance from the Department of Ed, the Department of Health, and the governor's office. We're still in that position. But what we do know based on the governor's tweet is nothing will be allowed in June. And our school year will end on June 19th, and our seniors would have graduated on June 19th. We owe it to them to make sure that we're recognizing and celebrating them in the best we can under the circumstances that we're facing. The week of June 15th, for members of the community that haven't seen such communication, seniors will be brought in with a family member to be able to take photos on grounds at both North and South. They will be able to cross a stage on school grounds where they receive their diploma in person. They'll be in cap and gown. They'll be able to be photographer will come from the company that would have been at Cure Arena. We'll be able to take a photo spot there at the school, as well as another location on ground. So there'll be two opportunities. And then we're going to be scheduling out those in-person opportunities so that we maintain social distancing barriers and so that we make sure that our community is safe and our families are safe. And so that we uphold the guidelines issued by the state police regarding other types of gatherings, and that we make sure we maintain much proper distances. So that will take place the week of the 15th. What's already happening now is that cap and gown distribution occurred last week. A major thanks to our teachers and our administration that volunteered and came in to make sure it was a meaningful day. I want to say thank you to the West Windsor Fire Department for coming in and displaying banners, and our police departments for supporting us and making sure we had safety measures at both of our schools for our seniors as they came in to collect their cap and gowns. And right now, families are asked to create 5 to 2 videos and upload such videos so that we can create a wonderful graduation experience the night of in celebration of them. So that is all occurring in live time, and we will follow through on all that. And should the guidance come out and should there be opportunity in July or August, right now we've said August 8th, to do some kind of smaller gatherings or with maintaining, we will definitely look at that as we said we would initially. We are tremendously concerned about public health and public safety, and the idea that we don't have a major outbreak today, that our community could not be impacted. All we have to do is look around our school communities in the nation that have gone through this and starting to see minor outbreaks that are happening as a result of graduation ceremonies. Georgia had an announcement today regarding that. So, we are very mindful that the public health is at risk, and that should we bring gatherings together, the district will adhere to all requirements by the Department of Ed, Department of Health, and the governor in order to make sure that we keep our community and our graduates safe. So that is something that I know is on a lot of people's mind. There's 4 of us right here on the screen that have seniors, and we're very mindful of the importance of celebrating our seniors and making sure that all their hard work and acknowledgments over the past 13 years in the school district are honored. And we're going to do our best to make it as meaningful as possible under the circumstances. Clearly not something any of us want for our seniors. I also want to just take a moment just to talk about unknowns and unpredictable moments right now as we start thinking in terms of the budget, obviously graduation, stepping into the summer with summer programming and athletics. Right now, there's a lot of talk and not a lot of information. There's a lot more questions than answers. And I will say that we heard some semblance of budgetary details on Friday with the treasurer's report, the state treasurer's report. The state numbers and the state aid have not been rerun and not been provided to the school district, or any school district for that matter, as of today, or at least as of this call. So we will be informing the Board of Education and ultimately the community regarding any update in numbers that we have. But what we can project is that we're going to lose aid. There's no way in a budgetary crisis that the state is in that state aid numbers are going to hold even, or as they've been projected for the 2021 school year. So we are working now regarding looking at our budget, looking at positions, looking at programs, looking at areas that we can try to find savings, and we are working through those plans now. Athletics is a whole nother question mark. There are state proposals that are out there amongst AD associations, athletic director associations, athletic associations and other regarding how we step into the fall. The National Federation of High School Scholastic Athletics is the governing agency that oversees guidelines to interscholastic sports across the nation. They issued a report last week that is very difficult to try to figure out how sports will occur in the fall, quite frankly. When you read the reports, it says things like no exchange of any shared equipment. So you couldn't pass a ball, throw a ball, or hand off a ball, shared equipment. No more than 10 athletes on the field at any given time, period. So you get the idea that we're not sure what's going to come, but I do know that our administrators, our principals around the state, as well as our athletic associations are thinking about this right now to try to make sure that we find ways and avenues for our high school students to have some form of athletic participation next school year. Again, daunting task, lots of unknowns. And then there's our summer programs. Our community education program will be offering virtual programming, but we are currently awaiting guidance on extended school year. Extended school year is a program that runs for special needs students that need continued support throughout the summer. As of right now, we are planning for a virtual experience through extended school year as a result of current health restrictions and guidelines in place by the Department of Ed, Department of Health, and CDC. We have tremendous concerns about the possibility of bringing our ASY program in from the safety of our staff and our students. But again, we are currently on hold waiting for guidance from the state. We are hoping that the governor releases some guidance this week. So there's a lot of unknowns that hang over the district right now. But I just want to send a tremendous thank you to our staff and our families for the way in which we've stepped together through this time of virtual learning. We know that there are places that we can improve upon, but we also know there's been great efforts made on the parts of lots of people. And we're tremendously grateful for the community that we have. So thank you to everyone. And Ms. Keisha, that will conclude my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Adderhold. That brings us to the first opportunity for public comment. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who have submitted written comments on the form that was open and available on the district website up until the start of this first opportunity for public comment. All submissions containing all required fields completed will be viewed during the meeting and included as public comment in the official minutes. Each comment should be directed to the presiding officer, not individual members of the board, and will be read by the board attorney for 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. If the comment extends beyond those 3 minutes, the full comment will be submitted and available as part of the meeting's public record. The public comment period shall be limited to 60 minutes. So with that, I'm going to ask Dr. Adderhold, please, to share his screen, and I'm going to thank our board attorney, Mr. Chikese, for reading our comments tonight. And Jeff, you need to unmute.
Switch screens here, I apologize. Sorry, I'm switching screens. We're trying to, at least. The first comment is from Veronica Mino, 41 Galveston Drive, Princeton Junction. Dr. Adderhold, after having sent that email with the 91 questions regarding how a school district could open with so many uncertainties, it is very clear that very likely in September, the students will continue with remote learning. So please explain to the community the following. 1, during these 15 weeks of schools being closed, what are the media center employees, the PE teachers, and the IAs doing? How are they adding value? How are they adding value to the student body with these weeks of lockdown? 2, why do you need 8 new positions to the school while the students very likely will not go back to the school in September? Why not wait until the school is opened and then add these 8 new positions? 3, why do you keep burdening the community to keep on increasing taxes when the community is not hurting? It is very clear that there is no emotional connection with the community, but what you care more is to keep doing your empire building. Why is the attorney reading all the comments when the attorney, Toscano, has a reputation of screaming at parents and making them feel highly uncomfortable? Is he only for legal? Why is he reading the comments?
I'm just going to refresh my screen to make sure I didn't miss any comments.
Okay.
It appears there's only one comment this evening for first opportunity. So I'm going to stop sharing screen.
Thank you. So that will close the first opportunity for public comment. That brings us now to our committee reports. The 3 board committees did meet virtually. So we'll begin with the first report from the Administration and Facilities Committee. And for that, I will turn it over to Tony Flores.
Thank you. The board met on May 19th. The first item, the committee received an update on the status of academic instruction, meal distribution, and technology during the school closure. Teachers have increased instructional contact time with students, particularly in grades K-5 and in special education. Volunteers continue to assist with meal distribution every 2 weeks, and the technology department supports students with device repairs and Wi-Fi access on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then we consider the emergency preparedness plan for COVID-19. There's submission on for a vote tonight. Prior to the March school closure, the district submitted the first emergency preparedness plan outlining district procedures during the initial shutdown. After the announcement that schools would remain closed for the remainder of the year, the Department of Education required that the district submit an updated plan outlining essential functions and services during a pandemic outbreak. The plan doesn't replace or supersede any laws or policies. It simply serves as a guideline to address additional concerns, challenges, and considerations specific to operations during a disease outbreak. The plan is on tonight's agenda for board approval. As the superintendent mentioned in his earlier comments, the high school administrations at both schools, South and North, are in the process of planning a virtual graduation. Administrators recently communicated graduation plans with the families, which includes distribution of caps and gowns, submission of video clips, graduation week activities, and a virtual graduation ceremony. As plans continue to develop, both high school administrations will communicate with the students and their families. We've reviewed 2 policies that are on the agenda for the second reading. Policy 1126, benefits covering foreman, category F, and policy 4420, benefits covering non-affiliated support staff, category B. Labor Relations Attorney Patrick Duncan provided us an overview of the history of both policies and impact of suggested edits, and comments from previous board members of previous meetings have been incorporated, and we recommend that they both be approved at on tonight's agenda. Concerning Title I, Mr. Earl provided an update on spending Title I funds to support eligible students. The district has purchased digital content to provide supplemental academic support for the remainder of the year. The district also partnered with the WWPEA and NJ Fast to match a grant which provides Title I eligible students in grades K-5 with 10 to 15 books for summer reading. Teachers are providing social and emotional support for students, and snacks are provided during meal distribution. We discussed an update on the athletics. Athletic registration opened on May 18th for the upcoming school year, and the athletic department continues to screen and interview coaches, but will hold positions on appointments until further guidance comes from the NJSIA and DOE. Concerning special education, the district and special education review consultant have agreed to continue with the process by offering stakeholders the opportunity to provide input virtually. Stakeholder interviews and focus groups are in progress, and data is being collected. The virtual process will not take the place of person-to-person interviews and focus groups. Those opportunities will resume once classes resume. Concerning the referendum, construction work for HVAC upgrades is underway and underground utility work is continuing. The contractor has applied for permits in both townships to begin toilet rooms and security vestibule renovations at various schools. Phase 1, which includes Dutch Neck and Millstone River, are delayed for bidding until December 2020, with work to take place in the summer of 2021. And Phase 2, which would be Village, Maurice Hawk, Town Center, and Wyckoff, will also be bid in December 2020, with work again beginning in the summer 2021. Phase 1 bidding for additions and renovations at High School South opened, and the low bidder was Precision Construction. Phase 1 is to be awarded at tonight's meeting, pending agency approvals. Additions and renovations at Grover Middle School are also moving forward. Slabs have been poured and structural steel has been erected. The community middle school project bids were rejected and negotiations are underway. And I'm sure Louise will have more to say about that when you hear the finance report. Concerning the equity update, the district equity teams continue their work with Dr. Eddie Fergus through the end of the year. The team members met with Dr. Fergus and other educators and researchers this past Friday to discuss racial equity and justice in education during the pandemic. Also, Dr. Adderhold and Mr. Earl will continue meetings with the African American and other Black students, parents, and alumni this week to gather information about their experiences at WWP. Eyes on the door in Class 3 offices continue to monitor buildings and outdoor facilities. The committee discussed the challenges of denying access to athletic fields and keeping the community safe during the closure. Next meeting will be on June 16th. Any questions?
All right, if there are no other questions, I'm now going to turn it over for the report from the curriculum committee. And for that, we'll hear from Dana Krug.
Hi, good evening. The curriculum committee also met on Tuesday, May 19th virtually. And our first item was to talk about curriculum hours, which is the necessary hours of curriculum articulation. And we discussed the curriculum work, and Dr. Nathan shared a spreadsheet illustrating the various areas targeted by the work, from new courses to revisions to support for virtual learning experiences. This work will be complete by June 30th. Summer and summer into fall work will be coming out next to support the continuous cycle of change, improvement, and advancement with curriculum and instruction. Next, we reviewed two textbooks that are that the committee is recommending for adoption. One is for the Math 8 course called EdGems Course 3, Student Edition 2018 by McCaw, and then a textbook for Algebra 1 and Algebra 1 honors courses called EdGems Algebra 1 Student Edition 2018 by McCaw. The vetting process was shared with the committee, and students will have digital access as well. Next, we looked at an amendment to program of studies for the high school, and this is due to the extended closure, obviously because of the pandemic. The committee recommends approval of the program of this amendment. This will allow the district to waive the assessment over the summer and modify course acceptance based on the grade of an A or a B upon completion of the course that the student has taken over the summer, who are approved and enrolled in the option 2 course or courses. Next, we discussed the Education Services Commission of New Jersey Non-Public Services. We recommend the approval of the first of a 5-year agreement with this commission to provide administration of non-public funds for non-public school students within the district in accordance with the State Board of Education guidelines. Next, we talked about many technology agreements and purchases. The first is Genesis Education Services to provide system maintenance, including lesson planner, for the Genesis Student Information System, Genesis Staff Management System, and Payroll System, interfaces for Versatrans, IEP Direct, NJIIS, Registration Gateway, Destiny Follett, Cafe Prepay, ASOP, School Messenger, and secure backup services for the next school year at a cost of a little over $53,000. Next was Dreambox Learning, which is to provide remote learning and blended learning solutions for K-5 students for math digital content instruction through August 31st, 2021. at a cost not to exceed 49, a little over 49, almost $50,000. And this will be paid for through Title I grants funds. Next is a one-year agreement with Exemplars Library to provide online resources for district-wide K-5 math instruction and Spanish translations for June 1st of this year through May 31st of next year at a cost of a little over $9,000. Then a one-year agreement with Gaggle Safety Management for Google to provide alert and monitoring software from July 1st to June 30th of next year, July 1st this year to June 30th next year, at a total cost of a little over $46,000. And then a one-year agreement with GoGuardian for administrators and teachers to provide monitoring software from this July through next June at a cost of a little over $46,000, and a one-year agreement with Raptor Technologies to provide eyes on the door software and support for the next school year at a cost of $5,650. And then a one-year agreement with JAMF to provide management of apps and software on Apple devices, again for the next school year at almost $16,000. One-year agreement with Intrado Interactive Services Corporation to provide school messenger web hosting services, content management, and unlimited notification services for the next school year at a cost of almost $21,000. A one-year agreement with EMS LINQ to provide registration gateway premium platform for student registration that integrates with the district student information system for next school year at a little over $40,000. A one-year agreement with Adobe Education to provide Adobe Creative Cloud software licenses for next school year at a cost of $12,500. And a one-year agreement with Smart Notebook Suite to provide Smart Learning Suite software licenses for the next school year at a cost of a little under $9,000. We next talked about a professional contract, which we recommend approval of, and that's a one-year agreement with Funds for Learning, LLC, to provide E-rate services for the next school year at a cost not to exceed just under $4,000. And we also recommend approval of a professional development consultant for the dual language immersion teachers, Marty Chen, to come for a 2-day workshop. This is going to be during the summer. I imagine it's going to be virtually, although it doesn't say that. And then content instruction in second languages to help teachers and aides in content instruction in second languages at a cost not to exceed $1,200 per day. And then one teacher, French teacher, to attend a virtual AP French Summer Institute offered through Walton Online Advanced Placement Summer Institute later in the month of June. And we also looked at the Community Education Virtual Summer 2020 programs, and there's a list of all the program titles that we reviewed, and we recommend approval of that. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, June 16th.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments about the curriculum report? Okay, so now we'll turn it over for the Finance Committee's report, and for that I'll turn it to Louisa Ho.
Okay, great. The Finance Committee also met on May 19th. We first started by reviewing the May 26th Board of Ed meeting agenda. We reviewed the normal financial reports for the district. On the agenda is a motion to approve the application to the Department of Education and amend the long-range facilities plan to add a salt storage building for High School North. The landscaping contract is on the agenda for one-year renewal. The committee also discussed the professional service renewal rates for the 2021 fiscal year. All but one are renewing at current rates. There are motions to approve the annual establishment of petty cash, the annual tax payment schedule, tuition rates for the 2021 school year, and the final 6 months of the current dental insurance plan, which expires at the end of December. Advocate monitors the condition of our facilities. Their contract is up for renewal, and a proposed new agreement is on the agenda for the 2021 school year. This will provide us an apples-to-apples comparison to evaluate and support the first year of our new cleaning vendor, as well as bringing facility maintenance functions in-house. We anticipate that this contract will be reduced considerably in future years as we have more monitoring done by our own staff. The committee also reviewed the extensive procurement list of co-op, state contracted vendors, shared agreements, and jointures that the district uses that are on the agenda for approval for the 2020-21 school year. For transportation, there is renewal of the shared services agreement with East Windsor for bus maintenance. Also on the agenda is the cancellation of activities and athletic runs for transportation due to the pandemic. Staff is currently negotiating with our bus contractors regarding the completion of their payments. There's a motion for the transfer of capital project interest income, which is to offset the debt service payment. The June 9th BOE meeting agenda will be the normal and customary resolution to remove the remaining funds from the general fund to the capital reserve account for future facility needs. There may also be a resolution for the renewal of liability and workers' compensation insurance, as both coverages are up for a 3-year renewal. The committee discussed both insurances, which are in pools, meaning that they are cooperatives that are self-funded to reduce premium cost and share liability. Both funds aggressively price their product to save districts money. The rates are still being determined based on our renewal information. Both funds have the best rates in the industry. Construction update. Tony covered a lot of this for referendum projects. High School North and Millstone River HVAC work is progressing nicely. Grover Middle School is also moving right along. Fire alarm work is being completed. Negotiations continue for the community middle school project as the cost is not acceptable as of today's date. We did get an update on that after the committee meeting that they have worked things out and are preparing to award the contract. High School South Phase 1, though already bid, is receiving its final approvals from the required agencies. The High School South expansion project is out to bid. Dutch Neck and Wyckoff bathroom renovation work is underway. For capital projects, the roof restoration contractors are preparing to begin work on Grover Middle School. High School North will begin once the HVAC rooftop work is completed. The Village and North salt sheds are out to bid. Snyder Electric's contractors are preparing to begin at High School South and Dutch Neck with HVAC replacement. Other projects have been bid and are waiting to begin. Solar panel installation should start soon at Millstone River on the sloped roofs. Cafeteria staff shared with the committee that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Agriculture's minimum lunch price calculation does not have to be followed. We are well below the minimum required lunch pricing. Lunch pricing will remain constant for next year. In other business, the committee discussed the financial forecast due to the pandemic. Possible cuts to operations and staffing were discussed. This is very preliminary since there has been no guidance from the Department of Education, and the state has extended its fiscal year to September 30th. The committee is next meeting on Tuesday, June 16th, and this will also be a virtual meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments about the finance report? Okay, that moves us now to the voting portion of our agenda. We begin with administration items. I have one correction on that. In number 10, we are being asked to approve the Special Services Extended School Year Program that will run. It will run from July 6th through August 7th. The dates that appear on the agenda are incorrect, so you need to update them. The end date is not August 14th, it's August 7th. So with that correction, could I please get a motion on the administration items 1 to 13? Tony and Martin. Are there any questions or comments about the administration items? Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Chang.
Yes.
Yep, he said yes. Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
and Ms. Keish.
Yes. Could I please get a motion on the curriculum and instruction items 1 through 9? Graylin and Rachel. Are there any comments or questions on the curriculum items? Thank you, Chris.
Start with Mr. Flores.
Yes.
And next, Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Mr. Chang,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
Ms. Case.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I please get a motion on the finance items 1 through 25 plus the addendum? Isaac and Louisa. Are there any questions or comments on the finance items? Thank you, Chris.
I have to ask a question, and tell me if I'm missing because I was paying attention here. Now, including the addendum that you mentioned, the finance
Yes.
addendum. All right,
Yes.
cool. Double checking. All right, we'll start with Ms. Ho.
Can we just remind, what is this addendum?
Sure, it's the awarding of HVAC system repairs. They're self-contained units in the Morris Hawk and the other part of the building, not the construction, new construction, the existing part of the building. And it's the awarding of the community middle school project that we discussed
Okay.
about negotiations.
Okay, great.
Cool. All right. So, Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, Ms. Krug.
Yes.
And next is Ms. McCune.
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Ms. Zovich.
Yes.
Mr. Cheng.
Yes.
Mr. Flares.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Ms. Case.
Yes.
Okay.
Could I please, sorry? Could I please get a motion on the personnel items 1 through 3 plus the personnel addendum? Robin and Dana, are there any questions or comments on the personnel items? Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Krug
Yes.
and then Ms. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Mr. Cheng,
Yes.
Mr. Flares,
Yes.
Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana,
Yes.
Ms. Case.
Yes. Can I please get a motion to approve the minutes from our last board meeting on May 12th? Louisa and Tony. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I
Are there
abstain.
any abstentions?
Sorry.
Abstain.
So do I.
Do you have that, Chris?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are there any liaison reports?
I have one.
Go ahead. Thanks, Graylin.
Good evening, everyone. The WWP Education Foundation announced its STAR campaign to honor teachers and staff around the district for Teacher Appreciation Month. An email was sent to students' families reminding them of the May 31st deadline. An excerpt reads, "Show your appreciation to heroic teachers and staff for their phenomenal work during this unprecedented time with a STAR certificate. You can honor your child's teacher, guidance counselor, principal, or staff member who makes a difference in their life. Your donation helps fund grants that enrich your child's education. For more information on the WWP Education Foundation, please visit their website, www.educationfoundation.org, and you'll see a link for the STAR campaign right on the homepage. I would also like to recognize the WWP Education Foundation Youth Committee, who organized a mask project benefiting Dr. Artie Patel, High School South alumna of Garden State Heart Care. Dr. Patel, on behalf of her staff, physician partners, and herself, described the masks as a morale booster, emblems of love and caring from our community. So thank you to the Youth Committee for your caring community service."
Thank you, Graylin. Are there any other liaison reports? Is there any new business? That brings us to the second opportunity for public comment. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who have submitted written comments on the form that was open and available on the district website up until the start of this second opportunity for public comment. All submissions containing all required fields completed will be viewed during the meeting and included as public comment in the official minutes. Each comment should be directed to the presiding officer, not individual members of the board, and will be read by the board attorney for 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. If the comment extends beyond those 3 minutes, the full comment will be submitted and available as part of the meeting's public record. This public comment period shall be limited to 15 minutes. So thank you, Dr. Hattervold, for sharing your screen, and thank you, Mr. Chikese, for reading the second opportunity comments.
Certainly. The first comment is from Danielle Eveland, 3535 Quaker Bridge Road, Suite 800, Hamilton. I'm sorry, my view options are not working here. Here we go. There we go. I'm the Educational Liaison for Capital County Children's Collaborative, otherwise known as the Mercer County Care Management Organization, CMO. We are a nonprofit organization that provides intensive care management services to youth up to age 21 in Mercer County with mental and behavioral health challenges, intellectual/developmental disabilities, and substance abuse challenges. My role is to keep our care managers, youth and families up to date on educational concerns and assist with educational challenges. I have been maintaining contact with each district within Mercer County and would like to commend the WWP district on your response to this public health crisis. Although West Windsor currently only accounts for 2.6% of our 846 youth, those youth that we are currently providing services to have had multiple challenges during this pandemic, and the district counseling, special services, and IT departments have been very responsive to our requests for assistance. My email is develand@capitalkids.org if you have any concerns or questions. Thank you. The next comment is from Eileen Azara, 22 Laurie Lane, Princeton Junction. Regarding the curriculum and the addition of Dreambox Math, we did receive the sign and information from my 5th grader, and he said it was really good. It was really good, but never received it from my kindergarten student. For my kindergarten student. I spoke with other parents, and they also did not receive information about this program. My only comment is perhaps a reminder could be given to all K-5 teachers to share the information with families.
Mr. Chikese, I'm just going to refresh screen, make sure there's no others.
Sure.
It does not appear that there's any additional comments. I'll stop sharing.
So that will close the second opportunity for public comment. I want to thank everyone who submitted comments tonight. I'm just going to ask the superintendent, do you have anything to say before I read the resolution to move into closed executive session?
Yes, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. So in response to a comment that was made with respect to the empire that I'm currently building in West Windsor-Plainsboro, I thought it might be necessary just to remind everyone that as we sat here this evening in our meeting, the Township Council meeting just concluded in West Windsor. And on the Township Council meeting was the Resolution 2020-12, which was the redevelopment plan for Princeton Junction. So as we sit here in preparing for an unknown reality of our future, our Township Council is still taking action for the expansion of our school system. And as we think forward about what some of that was, when we passed the referendum in November of 2018, the projection was for 3,134 growth residential units in West Windsor. Remember that that was part of the settlement with the affordable housing rulings, and another 498 in Plainsboro. So we had a net projection of over 1,800 students. Now, granted, the challenges currently in the economy are such, but that has not stopped construction permits, redevelopment plans, and contractors from coming into our community. The school district only needs more space, not less, in a time of social distancing. We are already maxed out from current students on current science labs and science coursework. And majority of the classrooms being built were science rooms at Community, at South, and at Grover. And so we see a pressing need to proceed and to move forward with the strengthening of our facilities and the growth of our programs. We also see that our townships have not stopped issuing permits and have not stopped moving forward with the redevelopment plan, including tonight's conversation was the Garden Homes, or the Lowe's Center, 650 units, and the Bear Creek Senior Living Center over by Village Grand. Now, obviously that won't yield school-age children, but we know that development's underway over by what's the mall over by I'm looking for a lifeline. I see Ms. Case.
Quaker Bridge Mall?
No.
Market Fair Mall.
Thank you.
Market Fair.
Market Fair.
Market Fair or, yeah, we're hoping.
Theological Seminary project, and we know that that's underway. So projects are happening around our community that will yield school-age children. We also know that the Thompson property over by the mosque on it's not a good night for
Old Trenton Road.
see what happens when you don't go into the community for a little while. You know, and so over on Old Trenton Road is preparing for construction. So there's plenty of developments that are going to go underway, and the construction projects are allowed to continue during this time period. So I would expect that we're going to see that work continue, and we'll see this community is going to always bring forward a community that's interested in education and interested in community, that has access to a train line, has access to New York and Philadelphia, and has a wonderful community to reside with and grow and raise our children. So I have every expectation that when the economy swings and we're allowed to start reopening as we move forward through the pandemic, that our community will surge with housing again, and we need to be well prepared. In the interim, though, any space we gain is going to be absolutely required with social distancing requirements. And as anyone can imagine, when you need to have a 6-foot barrier around every student at a minimum, it will become somewhat difficult. So one of the other comments was with respect to the 91 questions. Now, for anyone that is not following me on Twitter, per se, or looking on social media, I did release a memo to the governor and asked in the Department of Education, asking a series of questions to get the conversation started. I sit on the Senate Education Recovery Task Force, and I sit on the committee for the Department of Ed that's starting to frame questions around a reentry plan. So when we look at the Education Recovery Task Force with Senator Ruiz and Senator Sweeney and Senator Thompson, and the work that they're doing to put proposals together, and you look at the Reopening Steering Committee for the Department of Education, every question or every idea raises additional questions. And I'm sure that there's parents sitting out there and staff members sitting out there with a tremendous number of questions that we haven't thought of yet. And that's the scary part, and that's what we need to think of. So by no means is that list of questions a suggestion that it's a foregone conclusion what the fall brings. What that list of questions is supposed to generate, from my perspective, is a conversation about the kind of things that we need to answer so that we can safely return your children and our staff to our community and communities across the state and across this country safely. And to do that, we need guidance today. We need guidance today about regulations for our facilities. We need guidance today about our busing. We need guidance today about scheduling constraints. We need guidance today about future regulations when it comes to seat time or contact time. We need conversations today about health. We need conversations today about what scheduling parameters we'll be allowed to live within. Hybrid models, if families are concerned or reluctant, or there is concerns in the home with respect to illness, or families that have medically compromised children, or they have individuals living in the home that are medically compromised. What are the parameters going to be? We need those questions answered. We do not have guidance there, and that's what I'm trying to push forward in conversation. And then with respect to our staff is doing a tremendous job. And those staff members that may not be as seen because they're not the teacher of record in an elementary setting, are still doing yeoman's work to prepare for experiences for our children. They're supporting their colleagues instructionally, and they're making sure that there's resources and materials put together. So our librarians, our PE teachers, our instructional aides that are working to make modifications and plans behind the scenes that might not be seen to the public, but that are doing the work to help support our children. I take exception, and I know our staff takes exception to any shot that they might not be fulfilling the needs of our children. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So thank you very much, Ms. Case.
Thank you, Dr. Adderhold. The board needs to return to a second closed executive session, so I'm going to read the required resolution for that. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act authorizes boards of education to meet in executive session under certain circumstances, and whereas the Open Public Meetings Act requires the board to adopt a resolution at a public meeting to go into private session, now therefore be it resolved by the West Windsor-Plainsboro Regional School District Board of Education that it is necessary to meet in executive session to discuss certain items involving the superintendent's evaluation. Be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as feasible. The minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Be it further resolved that the board will not return to open session to conduct business at the conclusion of the executive session. So with that, can I please get a motion to go into closed executive session? Martin and Rachel. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
So we'll conclude our meeting for tonight, the public meeting. I want to thank everybody for coming out and hope that everybody stays safe and healthy. And for my board colleagues, we will log out of this meeting and we will move into the other link to go into executive session in like 5 minutes. Okay? Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.